Now, I've finished these cutting boards before in a hard maple and paduka, and what happens is you got dust on here. Even if I clean off the dust, which I'll do, I'll wipe it off, and I'll even use a bit of a tack cloth to really try to get all that dust off that I can. But even so, if I just start putting finish on here, that red dust is going to go right on the maple and make pink maple. How do I know this? Because I did that. Actually, I didn't use finish. I knew that was going to be a problem, so I went through and got rid of the dust as much as I could, and then I thought, hey, I'll just use some denatured alcohol, and I'll get that, you know how you can rub that on there to get the last of the dust off, or even more dust using a wet alcohol or something. So I took a swipe and started rubbing it, and immediately all my hard maple was turned pink. So what I did with the cutting board is, this first coat of finish really gets soaked into this end grain. So with the cutting board, obviously it was a bit smaller than this. I poured the finish on, and then I took the cutting board and kind of just moved it around to let the finish run over the cutting board rather than brush or wipe with a rag. And then within a minute or two, I could brush or even wipe with a rag and really not have a problem. It seemed like just getting it all wet first locked down that dust, and then I can go ahead and kind of brush it. With these big units, I'm going to try a pretty similar technique. I'm going to pour the finish on. This first coat anyway, I'm going to let it soak in. I'm going to pour it on and try to move these a little bit if I can, or I'm just going to use my brush and lightly move that finish around. Not brush the wood, but lightly try to move the finish over the whole top. The finish I'm using is a General Finish. It's not polyacrylic, but it's one just like it. It's a water-based polyurethane. I decided not to go with oil-based. I wanted to keep this as white as possible, and the water-based finish will do that. It's a really nice white hard maple. So I wanted to do that. That's my plan for doing this. Pouring the finish on, lightly kind of move the finish around to lock in any of the dust that's still on here, and then successive coats with some sanding in between. Here are the 3 countertops with the finish on them. I've put about 6 or 7 coats, watered it down a little bit towards the end to try to get a smoother finish, sanding in between every coat. Started with sanding around 220, and then sanded 300 and 400 for these last couple of coats, just to get those nibs off of the surface. I used a water-based finish. It was, General Finishes. You can see it here, General Finishes High Performance water-based top coat, and again probably 6 or 7 layers on top of this. I was concerned about the paduka dust running onto the maple, and I did the technique that I talked about, kind of flooding the surface, picked up the whole thing and moved it around to try to get the finish to go over the whole top, and then lightly brushed it just to get the finish everywhere without brushing the surface and moving the dust. That worked really well, but not as well as I would have liked. I still got some running in the red dust. Honestly, it's not enough that I'm going to do anything about it. Just here or there if you look very closely in some bright lights. But since this is a large countertop surface, I'm not too concerned about it overall. So things are looking great. Definitely got to put the edging on here, but I'm going to do that after I get these installed. So the finish is on, it's all dried, and these are now ready to get installed. I'm here on site, and we just finished installing the countertops. The left and the right are resting on base cabinets. Those cabinets are in great shape. They're really level to begin with, so just a couple of screws from inside the cabinet into the countertop to keep it in place. And the back counter section is resting on some plywood that stretches between the left and right cabinets. So a couple of plywood stretchers, and then actually pocket screws into those plywood stretchers up into this unit. The whole thing is cantilevered out about a foot or so, and I was worried about maybe having some flexing, out at that edge, but really leaning on it, it's not a problem, so I'm really happy with that. And the whole installation went pretty quickly, a couple of hours. A little bit of silicone between the joints where the pieces meet each other, just to close up that gap. And now the last step is to put on the paduka border around the edges and on the front. Along the back where the pieces meet, I'm going to rip, actually along that back, I'm going to rip one rip with the saw to make a nice straight edge now. And where those different countertops are meeting, that paduka border will really pull them to be exactly in line. So that's going to be a great side benefit of having one long paduka border across the back. And here's a little close-up tour of the island now that we've got it all installed. We do have a couple of blocks here screwed in underneath right across that joint to help get it nice and level. Again, once that edging gets installed here, it'll help pull that together. And about 5 or 6 coats of the General Finishes High Performance Gloss. Take a look right in there on those individual blocks of wood. I've gone ahead and installed all the edging on the island. Worked piece by piece to install the paduka edging all the way around from the front, side, and across the back. It's not finished yet, and it's going to get a round over treatment with the router, and then of course a few coats of finish, which will bring it down to the same color as the rest of the paduka in the island. Went piece by piece all the way around, really without a problem. Countersinking the screws, etc. And it looks great. What's awesome about it is that it really frames out the island. If you see it now, it's like a picture frame around the whole island, really highlighting the butcher block. That's it for the countertop. It is all here, fully installed. The edging is on, and it's ready for service. This has been really fun to build this huge, 3 huge end grain butcher blocks for this island. It looks fantastic. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see some of you guys do something like this too.